Have you ever noticed that the people who seem impossible to manipulate are rarely the loudest people in the room? They do not rush to defend themselves. They do not scramble to explain every decision. They do not argue with every accusation or compete for every ounce of attention. Instead, they possess something that unsettles almost everyone they encounter. It is not physical strength. It is not wealth. It is not even superior intelligence. It is the quiet mastery of themselves. And in a world where nearly everyone is reacting, oversharing, and seeking validation, the individual who remains composed becomes almost impossible to defeat. The greatest mind game is not one you play against another person. It is the one you refuse to play at all. This truth was understood more than 2,000 years ago by the Stoic philosophers, who observed that the strongest people never needed to dominate conversations because they had already conquered the battlefield within themselves. While others fought endlessly for status, approval, and recognition, the Stoics pursued something far more valuable, a character that no insult could diminish, no compliment could inflate, and no circumstance could destroy. Most people imagine power as something external. They picture authority, influence, followers, titles, or admiration. Yet every one of these depends upon the opinions of other people, and opinions are among the most unstable things in existence. Today you are praised. Tomorrow you are forgotten. Today you are admired. Tomorrow you become the target of envy. If your peace depends upon these shifting winds, then your emotional life belongs to everyone except yourself. The Stoics refused this bargain. They recognized that the person who cannot be emotionally controlled cannot truly be manipulated. Every attempt to provoke them becomes meaningless because they have already decided that their inner state will never be determined by someone else's behavior. Think carefully about how modern conflicts unfold. Someone criticizes you. Immediately your mind races. You feel the urge to respond, to justify yourself, to prove them wrong. Hours disappear as you replay the conversation, imagining better answers, wondering what others think. The critic may have spent only 30 seconds speaking, but they occupy your thoughts for days. In reality, they have already won, not because they were right, but because they successfully rented space inside your mind. This is the invisible mind game that governs much of human life. People compete not merely for resources, but for attention. They compete for emotional influence. They seek reactions because reactions confirm significance. An insult ignored often hurts the attacker more than the target. An argument abandoned leaves the provocateur standing alone. Silence, when born from strength rather than fear, becomes a language more powerful than any clever reply. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. As emperor of Rome, he faced betrayal, criticism, political intrigue, military disasters, and endless judgment. Every decision he made invited opposition. Yet instead of exhausting himself trying to control public opinion, he reminded himself of one astonishing principle. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is not merely comforting advice. It is a complete strategy for psychological freedom. Every mind game requires your participation. Someone attempts to provoke jealousy. Someone attempts to provoke insecurity. Someone attempts to provoke anger. But these tactics succeed only if you unconsciously agree to play according to their rules. Imagine two people standing before a mirror. One spends hours adjusting their reflection because they believe the mirror defines them. The other understands that the mirror merely reflects appearances and walks away unchanged. Which person possesses greater freedom? Most people treat society as that mirror. Every compliment becomes proof of worth. Every criticism becomes evidence of failure. They are endlessly polishing an image that exists only in the minds of strangers. The Stoic chooses differently. He asks not, "What do they think of me?" but, "What kind of person am I becoming?" Notice how this question changes everything. If your primary concern is reputation, then every conversation becomes a performance. Every disagreement becomes a threat. Every criticism feels like an emergency. But if your primary concern is character, then external judgments lose much of their power. You begin measuring yourself against your own principles instead of public opinion. This shift is subtle, yet it transforms your entire presence. People become confused by those who cannot be easily categorized. They expect emotional predictability. They expect you to defend yourself when accused, boast when praised, retaliate when insulted, panic when ignored. When you refuse these predictable patterns, you become difficult to manipulate because your behavior is guided by principles rather than impulses. This is why silence often carries extraordinary influence. Silence is misunderstood because many people assume that speaking demonstrates confidence. Often the opposite is true. Excessive explanation frequently reveals insecurity. Constant self-defense suggests dependence upon external approval. Endless arguments reveal emotional investment. A person secure in their values rarely feels compelled to announce them. Consider how often people reveal their weaknesses simply by talking too much. They disclose future plans before accomplishing them. They expose emotional triggers during heated arguments. They reveal insecurities while trying to appear confident. Every unnecessary word becomes information that others can eventually use. The Stoics valued restraint not because secrecy was inherently noble, but because discipline begins with the tongue. Before a plan becomes reality, it exists in a fragile state. It requires protection. Speaking about ambitions too early often creates an illusion of accomplishment. The brain experiences satisfaction simply from describing success, reducing the urgency to achieve it. Meanwhile, listeners may respond with doubt, envy, discouragement, or subtle influence that weakens your commitment. The wiser course is often to work quietly until your actions become impossible to ignore. History repeatedly confirms this principle. Many of history's greatest builders, thinkers, and leaders spent long periods in obscurity. They allowed their work to mature before seeking recognition. They understood that applause cannot replace preparation. Nature itself follows this rhythm. A tree develops its deepest roots underground, hidden from every observer. Months may pass without visible growth, yet beneath the surface, an entire foundation is forming. Only later does the visible strength emerge. Human excellence follows the same pattern. The modern world encourages constant exposure. Every meal is shared. Every opinion is broadcast. Every minor achievement becomes public content. Yet with every disclosure, people surrender a portion of their psychological independence. They begin anticipating reactions before making decisions. They shape behavior according to expected approval. Without realizing it, they have handed strangers authority over their emotional lives. The Stoic quietly withdraws from this cycle. He does not disappear because he fears the world. He disappears because he values uninterrupted growth. There is enormous strength in becoming difficult to read. This does not mean becoming cold or deceptive. It means refusing to let every passing emotion appear on your face, every temporary frustration escape your lips, or every private ambition become public entertainment. When emotions immediately become expressions, they also become vulnerabilities. Imagine a skilled chess player who reveals every intended move before touching a single piece. Victory becomes nearly impossible because opponents constantly adjust their strategy. Yet most people live this way emotionally. Their fears, frustrations, ambitions, and insecurities remain permanently visible. Self-mastery requires the opposite. Observe first. React later. Better yet, ask whether reaction is necessary at all. One of the greatest misunderstandings about Stoicism is the belief that it teaches emotional suppression. It does not. The Stoics did not seek to eliminate emotion. They sought to prevent emotion from becoming commander instead of servant. Fear can provide useful information. Anger can expose injustice. Sadness can reveal what truly matters. But none of these emotions should govern decisions without examination. The distance between feeling and action is where freedom exists. When someone insults you, the feeling arrives automatically. The response remains your choice. That small space, invisible to most people, determines whether you become master or prisoner. This is why Epictetus insisted that people are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the judgments they make about those events. 2 individuals experience identical criticism. One collapses into resentment while the other calmly considers whether any truth exists within the words. The external event remains identical. Only the internal interpretation changes. This insight dismantles countless psychological traps. Suppose someone attempts to embarrass you publicly. Their true objective is rarely the words themselves. They seek emotional surrender. They want visible frustration because emotional reactions validate their power. If you remain composed, something remarkable happens. Their strategy begins collapsing. Without your participation, the conflict cannot grow. Without your outrage, their victory disappears. This is why the calmest person often possesses the greatest influence. Calm is contagious, but so is chaos. People unconsciously mirror emotional energy. An angry person often hopes to create another angry person. A panicked individual spreads panic. A resentful mind seeks companions in resentment. By refusing emotional contagion, you quietly interrupt the entire cycle. Few acts require greater discipline. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can shout. Anyone can retaliate. Very few people can remain internally steady while others desperately attempt to pull them into emotional conflict. That steadiness cannot be improvised in the moment. It must be practiced daily. Every inconvenience becomes training. Every delayed gratification strengthens patience. Every ignored insult strengthens independence. Every completed responsibility, despite lack of motivation, strengthens discipline. The Stoics viewed ordinary life as preparation for extraordinary moments. You do not become calm during crisis if you have spent years obeying every impulse. You become calm because countless small acts of self-control have gradually reshaped your character. Imagine a blacksmith forging steel. The hammer strikes repeatedly, not to destroy the metal, but to strengthen it. Heat alone is insufficient. Pressure alone is insufficient. Together, they create resilience impossible. Through comfort alone, human character develops. Similarly, every obstacle becomes another strike of the hammer. Every disappointment becomes another opportunity to strengthen patience. Every betrayal becomes another opportunity to deepen wisdom. The average person asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic asks, "What is this teaching me?" That single question transforms suffering into instruction. This is the essence of loving one's fate. Not because pain feels pleasant, not because injustice suddenly becomes acceptable, but because every circumstance contains raw material for greater strength if approached correctly. When others attempt to play psychological games, they unknowingly provide practice. When they ignore you, they teach independence. When they criticize you, they teach humility. When they underestimate you, they teach patience. When they reject you, they teach self-reliance. Every attempt to weaken you becomes another chance to become stronger. This is why the Stoic cannot easily be defeated. He extracts value from experiences that would emotionally bankrupt most people. Eventually, something extraordinary begins happening. You stop fearing people's opinions because you recognize how temporary they are. You stop chasing constant validation because your standards become internal. You stop rushing to prove yourself because consistent action speaks louder than explanation. And perhaps most importantly, you stop wasting precious energy fighting battles that never deserved your attention in the first place. Life becomes remarkably lighter when you realize that not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding deserves correction. Not every challenge deserves engagement. Sometimes the strongest move is quiet indifference, not the indifference born from arrogance, but the indifference born from wisdom. Because every moment spent protecting your ego is a moment stolen from building your character. And in the end, character is the only possession that no one can take from you. To keep the script consistent and comply with your requested workflow, I'll continue with part 2 only. This completes the full 25 to 30-minute script and continues naturally from part 1. The quiet person is often misunderstood. People assume silence means uncertainty. They mistake restraint for weakness. They believe that because someone does not immediately respond, they have nothing to say. But the Stoics recognize that silence is not the absence of strength. It is often the highest expression of it. There is a profound difference between someone who remains silent because they are afraid and someone who remains silent because they have mastered themselves. The first stays quiet out of insecurity. The second stays quiet because they understand that not every thought deserves expression. Not every conflict deserves participation, and not every opinion deserves acknowledgement. This distinction changes everything. Imagine standing beside a deep lake on a calm morning. The surface is almost perfectly still, yet beneath that stillness exists immense depth and life. Compare that to a shallow puddle after a storm, constantly disturbed by every gust of wind. The shallow water reacts to everything. The deep water remains composed. Human minds are no different. A shallow mind is constantly reacting. Every comment creates emotion. Every rumor demands investigation. Every disagreement becomes personal. Every inconvenience feels like an attack. Disciplined mind observes before judging. It asks questions before reaching conclusions. It understands that appearances rarely reveal the entire truth. This is why Marcus Aurelius repeatedly reminded himself that people act according to what they believe is right, even when they are mistaken. Once you truly understand this, resentment begins to lose its grip. Most people are not deliberately trying to ruin your peace. They are simply acting from their own fears, desires, insecurities, and misunderstandings. The rude stranger may be carrying invisible burdens. The jealous colleague may secretly feel inadequate. The arrogant individual may be desperately protecting a fragile ego. Recognizing this does not excuse harmful behavior. It simply prevents you from becoming emotionally enslaved by it. When you stop taking every action personally, your freedom expands dramatically. This is one of the greatest psychological advantages a Stoic develops. Instead of constantly asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" they ask, "What internal struggle might be driving this behavior?" That single shift replaces anger with understanding. Understanding creates distance. Distance creates clarity, and clarity protects peace. Another powerful mind game that loses all influence over the Stoic is comparison. Modern society encourages endless comparison. Someone else earns more. Someone else travels more. Someone else appears happier. Someone else receives more attention. Without noticing, people begin measuring their lives against carefully selected fragments of someone else's reality. The Stoics would have considered this one of the greatest forms of self-imposed suffering. Comparison steals attention from the only life you are actually capable of improving your own. Every minute spent envying another person's success is a minute not invested in developing your own character. The irony is almost tragic. People chase appearances. While neglecting substance, they admire confidence while avoiding the discipline that creates it. They admire wisdom while refusing the patience required to acquire it. They admire strength while fleeing every hardship capable of producing it. Stoicism reverses this entire pattern. Instead of pursuing admiration, pursue excellence. Instead of chasing recognition, chase competence. Instead of seeking applause, seek integrity. Recognition may or may not arrive. Integrity always remains available. This principle becomes especially important when facing criticism. There are only two possibilities whenever someone judges you. Either they are correct or they are mistaken. If they are correct, then they have offered you a valuable opportunity to improve. Why resent someone for revealing a weakness that needed attention? Correction, though uncomfortable, becomes a gift. If they are mistaken, then their opinion changes nothing about reality. Truth remains true whether recognized or ignored. Your character remains your character regardless of public misunderstanding. In both cases, emotional disturbance becomes unnecessary. Notice how much suffering disappears once this logic becomes habitual. The ego resists criticism because it seeks perfection. Wisdom welcomes correction because it seeks growth. The ego fears appearing weak. Wisdom fears remaining weak. These are completely different priorities. The Stoics consistently chose the second. This mindset also transforms success. Most people define success through outcomes they cannot fully control. Winning, popularity, recognition, financial rewards. While these achievements can certainly be valuable, none of them belong entirely to you. Chance influences them. Other people influence them. Circumstances influence them. Stoicism proposes a far more stable definition. Success is acting with virtue regardless of outcome. Imagine two archers. Both prepare carefully. Both practice diligently. Both release their arrows with perfect technique. A sudden gust of wind pushes one arrow away from the target. Has the archer failed? According to ordinary thinking, yes. According to Stoicism, no. The only true failure would have been neglecting preparation or abandoning discipline. Everything beyond the release belonged to forces outside direct control. This perspective creates extraordinary resilience. Failure becomes information instead of identity. Rejection becomes direction instead of defeat. Delay becomes preparation instead of punishment. People who think this way cannot be broken easily because their confidence no longer depends upon immediate results. Their confidence rests upon consistent effort, and effort always remains available. There is another habit that quietly protects the Stoic from manipulation. They refuse to make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. How many relationships have ended because of one angry conversation? How many careers have been abandoned because of one discouraging day? How many dreams have been forgotten because of one unexpected setback? Emotion compresses perspective. It convinces you that today's feeling represents tomorrow's reality. Wisdom waits. When angry, wait. When excited, wait. When insulted, wait. Time often accomplishes what force never could. A delayed response is frequently a better response. Sometimes the wisest sentence is the one never spoken. Sometimes the greatest victory is the conflict that never begins. This patience frustrates manipulators because manipulation depends upon urgency. They want immediate reactions, immediate decisions, immediate emotional surrender. The Stoic quietly removes urgency from the equation. By slowing down, they regain ownership of themselves. Ownership of yourself is perhaps the greatest form of freedom that exists. A person who owns their thoughts cannot easily be deceived. A person who owns their emotions cannot easily be controlled. A person who owns their habits cannot easily be distracted. This is the quiet power that history repeatedly rewards. Empires have risen and fallen. Fortunes have appeared and disappeared. Public opinion has changed countless times, but disciplined character remains valuable in every generation. The remarkable truth is that no one can give you this strength, that no book can install it overnight, that no teacher can hand it to you. No speech can permanently inspire it. It must be built. One decision at a time. One disciplined morning. One resisted temptation. One ignored insult. One completed responsibility. One courageous action. Character grows quietly. Just as a mountain forms through countless invisible changes, a powerful mind emerges through thousands of ordinary choices that no audience ever sees. The world celebrates dramatic victories. Stoicism celebrates invisible ones. The moment you choose patience over anger, the moment you choose discipline over comfort, the moment you choose truth over convenience, the moment you choose silence over pointless argument. These victories rarely attract applause, yet they shape the person you become. Eventually, people begin noticing something different about you, not because you demanded attention, but because your presence feels unusually steady. While others panic, you remain composed. While others compete for validation, you continue your work. While others react emotionally, you respond thoughtfully. Your consistency becomes unforgettable. Ironically, the less you chase influence, the more influence you naturally possess. People trust those who cannot be easily shaken. They respect those who remain calm under pressure. They remember those who speak only when their words carry genuine value. This is why the Stoic never needs to announce their strength. Real strength introduces itself without noise, without performance, without permission. At the end of life, very few people regret winning too few arguments. Very few regret receiving too little praise. Very few regret having the last word less often. Instead, many regret allowing fear to dictate choices, allowing anger to destroy relationships, allowing pride to prevent learning, allowing public opinion to replace personal conviction. Stoicism offers another path, a quieter path, a slower path, but ultimately, a freer path. You no longer measure your worth by applause. You no longer surrender peace to critics. You no longer waste energy proving your value to people determined not to see it. Instead, you become your own witness, your own judge, your own greatest responsibility. That is the final secret behind every mind game. The person who truly governs themselves cannot be governed by manipulation. The person who seeks virtue more than victory cannot be defeated by insults. The person who values character above reputation cannot be impoverished by gossip. And the person who has learned to remain silent at the right moments often says more than the loudest voice ever could. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember this. You do not have to answer every accusation. You do not have to correct every misunderstanding. You do not have to defend every decision. Your peace is more valuable than your pride. Your discipline is more valuable than your image. And your character is more valuable than the temporary opinions of people who are themselves struggling to master their own minds. When the battle within and the battles outside lose much of their power, master yourself, and no mind game can ever truly master you.